So hello and welcome back to another video, but more importantly welcome back to Holme Fen fishery. Yes, we are back on Meadows and I am very eager to get started. We have not long done the draw, which wasn't too bad. I managed to get my third choice of swim and I've got myself situated in 4 strong winds. Now I have fished this swim once before, so I have got a little bit of an understanding of the topography out there. Last time I fished it though, I did use a bait boat, and on this trip it's all down to people casting, no bait boats on this trip, so I've got quite a bit of work to do. The water level's quite down at the moment, so it means I'm going to have to be living in and out of my waders. I think more than likely shorts and Crocs will probably be the one. But I have seen quite a few fish in the vicinity, especially with the forecast that we've got. It is going to be absolutely baking for the duration that we're here. I mean, it's 29 degrees now, and it's just gone 10 o'clock in the morning. It is roasting. But, you know, that said, we're going to be up against it. But I still think we're in with a chance, I really do. I would have liked to have fished in the dugout or beaches. They was my first and second choice, but I still think we've got a very good chance here. I'm not going to go in on a massive baiting approach or anything like that. The fish have not long spawned from what I can gather, so they could be up for a bit of a munch. I've got more than enough bait if they do decide to have a good feed up. It's better to have too much than not enough. I've brought with me some pigeon conditioner, and I've brought with me the Maxi Nut, all in 12 millers. I've actually got some of them soaking at the moment. I want to soak everything out and I want to mash a few up, get some of that in the pigeon conditioner. Now the reason for bringing the pigeon conditioner, a couple of reasons. One is for the bird life. It doesn't take them long at all to clear you out on here if you're just fishing boilies. So if you've got plenty of bits and pieces all dotted around, it keeps them happy, but not only that, it leaves plenty of food there for the fish as well. So that's one reason, and the other reason is I didn't know which swim I was going to be pitched up in, and some of the casts on here are quite a long cast, so you want something that you can sort of bulk that spom out with. Plenty of liquids with me, but I'll run through the bait in more detail as we get into it. For now I want to get my waders on, get out there and see what spots I can find, and then we shall have a little bit of a catch up once we're fishing. So I'm just about to prepare a mix now. I'm going to do it in batches rather than just mixing it all together in one go. I might not use it all this session. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to start off with pigeon conditioner. Now I've cooked this at home. I give it a couple of days to soak first, just in cold water, and then after a couple of days I just bring it up to the boil on the stove and then let it simmer for 30 minutes. And then this has been sitting in the bucket for a good 3 days before I've come fishing, and since then it's absorbed all of the water into the mix. I've actually had to add a lot more kettle water to the mix just to thin it out a little bit, but this is all sticky and it doesn't smell very nice, pigeon conditioner, but it does look really good. I've used it to great effect for years, pigeon conditioner, and it's a very cheap option as well, you know, to bulk your mix out, and the carp absolutely love it. So I'm going to go in with probably a kilo and a half or so of that. And then when I got here, I mentioned I soaked out the boilies. Now these have had a good couple of hours now because it's taken me absolutely forever to get the spots sorted. I reckon it's took me about 2 hours to locate the spots, and I am really happy with the spots that I found, but I'll go through them in more detail in a second. So yeah, they're all very soft now. I can actually just break them up between my hands. So I am going to mash a few up in there and get some whole in there as well. Lots. So I've got sort of 50-50 pigeon conditioner and boilies. Just want lots of different bits and pieces. I'd imagine them birds are going to pick a lot of these up. There's a hell of a lot of birds on here, and one of the spots that I'm fishing, it's a big gravel patch and it's in 3 foot of water. So that's that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 3 different liquids. I'm going to add a little bit of hemp oil. That's just going to help me know if anything's speeding on the spots, so I'll be getting a slick coming up. Then I'm going to add the nut stem. Now this is a nice thin liquid, this one. This is actually good for penetrating into your baits. If I hadn't washed them out, what I do like to do is actually soak the baits in the stem. But for this trip, you know, they've seen a lot of pressure, these fish. It's fished all year round, and they see a lot of different bait. That's why I've gone down the small bait route, and I will talk to you about, you know, presentation and what I'm going to put out there. So a good helping of that, and then some of the glug. I like the glug because it's nice and sticky and it just helps bind it together a bit more. Not only that, with it being a bit heavier, it sort of lingers round in the water column for a bit longer. And that is it. Give it a good old mix up. Beautiful. Now if you could smell that, it smells absolutely divine. Even that pigeon conditioner smells nice now. But I'm going to keep knocking it up in batches. The boilies that I've actually brought with me are shelf life boilies, so that's another reason for soaking them out. Usually I'm using freezer boilies, but because I'm here for 6 days and with the temperature, I didn't really want to have them sitting in oil for the duration, so I like to do that. So yeah, let's go and get some bait out there. Well, good evening. I have got quite a lot to report on since I last spoke to you. Have you ever had one of them sessions where it's just a complete nightmare? Everything I'm doing at the moment is just going wrong. It really is. I am having a proper nightmare of a session. But I'll start off on the positive notes before I touch on the bad stuff. And the positive things is I found some really nice spots out there. One in particular is a really raised like gravel area. I can fit 2 rods on that. It's about 3.5 foot on top of it, and it's on that patrol route where the fish pass back down into that bay there. And then rather than put all my eggs in one basket, so to speak of, I decided to fish the other rod in the channel which comes through. Again, that's another lovely spot, a nice clean area, so I've chose to go in with the multi-rigs on all three of them because I can fish a really low line pop-up. And not only that, I wanted to go in with a small bait. That worked for me last time I was here. I was unsure whether or not the small bait route was going to be the one, but so far it seems like it is because I've had a response to it. And now here's where things start to change. I had a bite not long after putting the rods out, really. I really took my time to get the rods out. With the heat, it just, you know, it was hard work, it was an effort. So I just took my time, did everything, you know, bang on, got the rods out there, got the bait out there. I've baited fairly heavily, to be quite honest. And then I had a bite at around about 7:30. I think I got the rods out for around about 5:30 time, and then at 7:30 I had a bite, and literally it was melting off. It really was melting off. I couldn't get to the rod quick enough, and I picked up the rod, felt the weight of the fish, and literally 5 seconds later the fish was off. I was absolutely mortified. But anyway, I got the rod back out there, and then I decided to hold off for half an hour, 45 minutes, which I did do. I'm getting eaten alive, by the way, which I did do. And then I decided to put a bit more bait in. I put that bait in, and then it rattled. Oh, I'm away. Am I? Or is it a coot? That's a coot. Oh dear, the nightmare continues. They are absolutely savage, the birds on here, they really are. But anyway, where was I? And then it rattled off again, and this time it was a tench. And it picked up the other line, so I'm pulling the tench in and I'm pulling the other line in. Cut a long story short, landed the tench, decided to just unhook it in the water, slipping back, but then I was left with a right old mess. 2 rods I had to redo. One of them I had to strip off about 80 yards of line because it absolutely mashed me up. It was that bad. I ended up biting the one that I'd landed, biting that so I could slide it all through, and then I ended up hand lining the other back through, but it left a weak spot in the line and I just pulled it and it broke. So, you know, I had to check that. And then I went to put the rods back out, and then I cracked off, and I'm thinking to myself at this point, I'm thinking I'm losing the will to live. I really am. So that meant, and then I went to put the other rod out because they was both ready at the same time, and a big weed bed drifted over the spot, and I'm thinking, oh my God, right, I'll go sort the other rod out. So I got that rigged back up, all sorted, ready to go, goes back out there. Luckily enough, they both went out sweet as a nut. I did top up with a little bit more bait. The swan's been giving me a bit of an issue as well. Every time I bait up, he's there. I must have hit him on the back a couple of times already. I'm getting eaten alive by these bloody mozzies. My arms and legs feel like they're on fire, they really do. It is just one of them sessions. But on a positive note though, they are responding well to the bait, and I have not long knocked up a second batch. That's how much bait I've put in. I've put quite a lot in, and I am getting a fair few liners along with the coots as well, mind you. But it's ever so strange because I am seeing a lot of fish quite close in, but they seem to be the smaller fish. They are actually sort of coming round just in front of the rods. I think that's some of the liners that I'm getting. But over there, I am still seeing the odd really good fish over there. I mean, I dread to think what that one was that I lost. But I'll run through the rigs and everything in more detail once I've, you know, got sat down and relaxed and we're into the session. I just feel like everything's rushed at the moment, and I'm losing the light quickly now, and it has been a mad rush to get them 2 rods back out there and sorted again. I've not long put a bit more bait in, and since putting that bait in I've had a few liners, so there's definitely fish still in the area. I don't know what it's going to be like at night time in this swim, because I reckon sort of early morning and afternoon is going to be the best time in here, and it certainly was last time I fished here as well. It was the same time of year when I last fished in this swim. But not only that, it is a right nightmare really. It's not a comfortable swim. I've decided to put my rods where they are just because there's no way I can land the fish from the bank or, you know, anywhere in close. I've got to go out past that gravel bar to land them, so it made sense just to put the rods there so I can get a proper line lay. The last thing you want is birds and swans and whatever else going through your lines. It's just a nightmare, and not only that, there is quite a lot of floating weed about. It's drifting about all over the place, so it just made sense. And what I will do is I'll sit on a chair on that for, you know, for as long as I can really. As long as the sun's not too bad, I'll do that. So yeah, I'm hoping that the channel rod will do a night bite, and I'm thinking that shallow spot might be just a daytime, sort of morning, afternoon, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. But so far for the group, nobody's had anything, so I'm definitely doing something right. They are responding to it. Anyway, I need to get sorted. I'm going to light one of them mozzie coils now and then I'm going to get some tea on, and we shall have a catch up with a fish or in the morning. Well, would you believe it? It's not been that long since I last spoke to you, and it absolutely ripped off. I have got some carnage to sort out here because it's wiped out the other rod again, so I've made the decision. I'm only going to put one rod on that spot now. I can't keep having this happen all the time, but we've landed it this time. Thank God for that, because I was actually starting to doubt a little bit whether or not I was using the right rig. But enough said, we've got one. It has just gone £34 and 6 ounces, and that'll do for starters. Oh, it's really good to get off the mark so quickly, and I was still getting liners. I do think there could be a few fish this trip if I play my cards right, as long as they don't do the off. Just keep that bait going in. Absolute lovely fish. I tell you what, this mat is wicked. I've got the new Avid folder mat. It's really, really good. Oh, are you ready? And there we go. That'll do for starters. Thank you very much. Yes, the maxi nut providing the goods once again. It's like a boat. I reckon I could get in this. Wonder if I can use this and go out and check my spots. Yeah, I've gone for the XL version. Come on, baby. And there's the other side. Oh yeah, I'm happy now. I'm sinking in this silt. But nonetheless, oh, one happy angler, and it's working. So I can get some more bait out, just put the one rod out for tonight, and then look for another spot for the third rod tomorrow. Well, it's gone again. I've still not been to sleep yet. It's about 1:30 in the morning. I've been getting loads of liners on that rod. Oh, and this one's a good one. £40 1 ounce. Same tactics, just repeating the process. I did bait up again. They are definitely responding to that bait. I'm just going to do the same again, get the rod back out, just the one rod, and another 6 to 8 spawns over the top again. This one gave a really good account of himself. I thought it was bigger, to be quite honest. Oh, it's turning into a good session. Turn a nightmare session into a good one. Right then. Here we go. And there he is, look. £40, 1 ounce. Taken on a size 8 hook and a 10mm hook bait. Oh, let's hope there is more in it. My fear is that they're going to move off at some point the more you catch them, but he'll do for now. I'll quickly show you the other side. He's behaving himself. Oh, I tell you what, this mat is an absolute godsend. I am so pleased I've got this. Steady, steady. Oh, you have to do everything in the water at the moment with the fish not long been spawning. So I'm not doing this just for the sake of it. Oh, and there we go. The other side. Oh, yes. Get a couple of stills of him and I shall return him. Hopefully, I'll see you again very soon. Oh, but if not, I'll see you in the morning. Yes. Well, good morning, and we are long overdue an update because we are actually approaching dinner time at the moment. Needless to say, after I got that fish sorted and back, and you know, I actually sat and had a cup of tea, and by this point it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking to myself, there's not really much point in going to sleep. However, I did manage half an hour. But the thing that I was thinking about was the rod that I just put back out. I've got the tree line marker on the skyline, but when you can't see that lead land, you don't know, do you? You want to be 100%. So I thought I'll wait till light breaks and then I'll redo that rod. and I did also put some more bait around that. But this morning it's completely different. Hardly any activity at all I'm seeing. I did choose to redo the channel rod as well. I'm having a lot of problems with the drifting weed at the moment, and the coots are over my left hand rod as well. I've currently only got 2 rods in as we speak. I'm just unsure what to do with the 3rd rod. I'm hoping that something sort of gives the game away. Yeah, because where I can put it that I know of, it's just going to hinder me where it is. So yeah, I did that, and then come that time, you know, it was just getting light. I stopped up for another hour and a half, and then since then I've had a bit of sleep, and I awoke at 11 o'clock. So I've not had eyes on the water much, but I've not had many liners. The only sort of beeps I've had is like from the weed, but that's only because the wind's picked up in this last half an hour or so. And I've got, you know, a slack drop on the bobbins, a fairly light bobbins. But I did mention we'd go through the rigs in a bit more detail. And I suppose another thing worth mentioning is, for those of you that don't follow me on social media, you're not actually going to know that I've left Nash. I left Nash a couple of months ago now, and I'm currently using Keybait Solutions. I'm a consultant for them, and I've not long joined Avid. In fact, this is my first trip out after having my first delivery from them. So yes, I'm liking a lot of the products that I've been sent to use. A lot of it I've not used before. I mean, I know some of them are new out, but things like the outline camo terminal tackle and that, and the Armour Rock hooks, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I say that, I mean, there's loads of good hooks out there, but I'm surprised that I've not used these before, because they really are alright. As are a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the Nash terminal stuff as well, but the Avid ones, you know, yeah, I'm really liking them, especially the outline camo fleck and that. It just, oh, it looks sexy, it really does. But anyway, I'm waffling on. I just thought I better put that out there because I've not really said it. So yeah, so what I'm actually using, if you remember last time I come, it was all about fishing the smaller baits. That's really what seemed to sort of kick it off for me. I did move swims as well, there might have been a bit of that in it, but it gave me a lot of confidence in them smaller baits. And the rig that I was using at the time was a multi-rig, and I was fishing a size 10 hook and a 10mm pop-up. Now I'm sort of replicating that on this session. But what I've got here, I know you can't see this, but what I will do is I'll get some close-ups for you. But I've actually got a size 8 hook on there. That's the size 8 wide gape, and that's the Armour Rock hook. I've got a little liner. Rather than using shrink tube, the little liner, the smaller liner, fits on that snug as a bug, so you know, it makes changing that hook really easy. I don't have to keep replacing the boom section, and the boom itself, it's a coated hook link. That's the Captive in 25 £. It's the brown version. It's very hard to get it through the eye of the hook when it's doubled over. I have to use a splicing needle and sort of wiggle it through, and then I've just got a bait screw on the back of the hook. And then where the knot is on the actual loop, I've moulded some putty around it, and what you're left with is a really low lying pop-up. It absolutely sits prime, it does, which allows me to use a 10 or 12mm bait. Now the baits that I am using on this session, I've mentioned what I'm putting out there, the Maxi Nut and the Pigeon Conditioner, but these, you can't actually get small pop-ups from Keybaits, and I've actually had a load of toppers made up especially for me, so thank you very much guys, I appreciate that. So yeah, since making the switch over onto Keybaits, I think it's worth mentioning that my catch rate has just gone whoosh. It really has. I had like a couple of trips out to Rosemere, which turns out to be the best couple of trips of the season in my opinion. Well, one definitely was anyway. That video is actually about, it's going to drop this Friday. That's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to the feedback from that. But the feedback from the last video was really good as well, because I sort of did it differently. You know, did a lot of voiceover and that, and sort of told the story as I went along. Really good feedback from that, and I really appreciate it, guys. I really do. Any sort of, you know, comments, liking, you know, I really do love that. It's what makes it all worthwhile for me, knowing that people are enjoying what I'm doing and I'm not just waffling on for the sake of it. But anyway, back to the fishing. It's not looking great. I am hoping that they're going to turn up. I mean, there is one big difference today, and that is that it's slightly overcast. We've got a bit of cloud cover. It's still baking hot, but I think that cloud cover has just sort of stopped them from creeping in down there. I think when that sun's up, they just go down there for a bit of sanctuary, and they have to pass over my spot to get down there, unless they follow it round the back of the island. But this time yesterday, I was seeing them literally everywhere out in front of me. There was down to the left in Jake's, there was right down in the back of that bay, and they were coming past through the channel. But they're very reluctant to feed in that channel. I suppose though that channel must get fished a hell of a lot, because it's just obvious, and inside it, you know, you've got that bit of depth. I mean, all around it, you know, it's quite shallow, and there's a lot of Canadian and silkweed mixed in that. You know, it's very, very hard to find a clear spot in the shallow water, because it just seems like it's all stitched up with weed. I think that's what makes that spot over there so good. So yes, I've pressed reset. I'm not going to do anything until I start seeing a little bit of activity. It would be nice to see one of the other guys catch something, because so far at the moment nobody's had anything. I'm the only person to have caught, which you know, I'm feel pretty lucky about that. The fact that, you know, I've landed on a few fish to start with, because I could be sat in one of them open water swims now, hoping for and praying for the fish to turn up. God, it makes me jump every time that, but it is just the weed. I've got a bit of weed that's near the rod tip, and it keeps bouncing. So yeah, it could have been me that. So I am very, very, yeah, very lucky. But, you know, it is all about the draw, and I think the way the draw went as well, it's quite good. There's actually 8 of us here that was in the draw to begin with. 3 people paired up. That's a bite. Oh, is it? Oh, it's a liner. Big liner, big liner. I've seen the fish. Oh, that's a good sign. That's the first liner I've had all morning. That is a wicked sign. It could mean that them fish are moving back in. It's looking promising for the afternoon, if that's anything to go by. Oh, it's a grebe. You bugger. I thought that was a bloody fish then. It's a grebe. Oh, that got the old ticker going then. I thought it was a way to begin with. I tell you something though, the bites have just been absolute one-toners, melters. And it's like an assault course getting to them rods, it really is. I mean, last night I got my crocs stuck in the silt trying to land one of the fish, and I had to just basically leave them stuck in the silt and walk around barefoot. I did get them back though. I got them back this morning. That was hard work. I mean, it is much easier in the waders, but it's just too hot. Honestly, you're like a bloody sardine or something. You just go all shriveled up and horrible. Oh, but I am absolutely burning on my arms and legs, and that's not from the sun, it's from the amount of mosquito bites. They are absolutely terrible last night, really was. Yeah, I feel like I'm on fire from them all. But I'm just about to put some breakfast on now, or should I say dinner, because it's getting on that way. But I didn't eat till, in fact it wasn't long before I caught that last fish. I probably ate at about 1 o'clock in the morning. just because of the activity and what I was seeing, you know, it really does keep you on your toes. And not only that, the nature of the swim, doing anything is just escalated by 10. And in the heat, you know, you just got to take your time and make sure you do it right. It's very hard to keep yourself motivated when it's like that. I mean, the motivation was there, it's just I was lacking a bit, it really was. I feel a lot better now, I've had a bit of a sleep, and hopefully them fish turn up, should I say, not turn in. Well, I certainly have got high hopes for this afternoon, especially after the track record and how I know this lake fishes. You know, it does tend to be a good time, the afternoon time, around the back of these islands. So I am going to be sitting here with my eyes on the water after I've eaten my lunch, and we shall have a bit of a catch up in a bit. Well, this one caught me off guard, and it's off the channel rod, so another spot that's working. He is very angry, and I don't know why. But he's a bonny looking fish. 36 pound, 2 ounces just gone. It's hard work trying to weigh him in the water. You just can't get enough height to lift the buggers up. It's starting to rain now as well. Lovely. Were you going to behave yourself? He's just so mad. Honestly, you should see him tensing up. Gills going. I think we're going to have problems with this one. But I am very, very pleased to have gotten the bite. Because still, as it stands, nobody else has had anything. And I haven't really been seeing much neither. God, he's just nuts. He does not want to be picked up, he really doesn't. Get him up right. He is absolutely full of it. And there you go. Check him out. Angry. Oh, Holme Fen mirror. Spinning round. He's got the gist of it now. And there we go. Lovely fish that. A few pictures. I'll slip him back. Top the spots up. Get the rod back out there. Hopefully it continues. Well, they're getting bigger, and it's just gone 6:30, so it is feeding time. Although I was sitting there thinking to myself, where's a bite going to come from? But it's come from the channel rod again, and I am pleased. It's just gone £48.10, not quite that magical 50, but he is a lovely fish nonetheless. And he was a bit of a pain in the ass to get in. Found every weed bed going. But there he is, look. Check him out. What a fish. That's what we come to Holme Fen for. Seems to be that just feeding to the bites is what's working. About 10 to 12 medium spawns after every bite. side. Hopefully it's not the last and we've still got more to come. But if anything, I'm going to repeat, top the spot up, need to sort both rods out because it wiped the other one out, and then we'll have a catch up in a bit. Well, good evening, and that is my view for tonight. It looks rather tranquil out there, I must admit, and now that wind's died off. It always seems like a different lake when you're here when it's like this. Yes, it can really see some bad weather conditions, this place. So it's actually quite nice sitting here right now. But on the old fishing front, it's been a funny day, a very funny day. I feel like them 2 bites have just come from out of the blue, because I've not been seeing a lot, I really haven't. And 2 bites out the channel. It's about 12 foot in that gully over there. So maybe they've just pushed off them shallow spots. I mean, it's still baking hot, it's really humid, but the sun just hasn't managed to poke its way through today. Maybe that's what's changed it, but then again it could be angling pressure as well. They are very clued on to what's going on in here. Oh, but I was starting to get a little bit worried that I'd pushed them off. You know, it can be like that, especially around the back of these islands. It's sometimes better to sit and wait for them to turn up in an open water swim. I think that's why I like the dugout swim so much. It's probably my favourite peg on the whole lake. Yeah, I think a few fish have backed off into the pump hole, I really do. I've seen a few fish down there, and I've just had a young lad walking round and he says he's seen fish in there. He's coming on tomorrow, so he's just come for a little walk round. Oh, but I am glad it's turned out the way it has. After the start that we had, Jesus, I was ready for giving up the will to live, I tell you. And then, you know, keep putting that effort in, no matter what happens. Just give your head a wobble, carry on, and it's paid off. It really has. Hopefully, one of them big uns will turn up. One of them proper chunks, that'd be nice. Even if it's not for me, I'd like to see Chris catch one who was in the dugout. There has been another fish out as well, which I didn't know about. Party Point have had a 40. Mike's not long been round to collect some money, so he popped over to see me. Yeah. But change round of people tomorrow, so no doubt it's going to change things again. It's certainly going to, you know, get them fish moving around, and because I'm not going back in the draw, I'm just going to stay in this swim. I think that might help me, because everybody's going to come on and start making all that disturbance. Hopefully it pushes them back over here, because I don't feel like I'm sitting on any number of fish at the moment. Yesterday I was just seeing fish everywhere. It was ridiculous, it really was. I'll tell you something though, I'm sitting here now and my legs feel like they're on fire. They really do. I can't tell if it's sunburn or if it's the bites, but they're on fire. It's been spitting on and off for the last sort of couple of hours. It'd be nice if it had a real downpour, that'd be good. Little bleep there, come on. Yeah, I reckon if it had a good downpour, it might change things a little bit. It all seems a little bit stagnant at the moment. And there is a little bit of algae bloom in places. In Wasted Time, in that corner over there, there's a lot of algae bloom over there. But it feels good, and we've still got 5 nights. Oh my god, we've still got 5 nights left. I'm thinking I'm 48 hours in. It's just crazy what I've had so far. I don't think I've got enough bait. I said at the beginning I've bought more than enough bait with me, but I'm looking at what I've got left and I'm thinking, might need to go get some more. It's not a bad problem to have though, is it? And St Ives Tackle's not far away. I'm sure I can pop down there and get something. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to kick back, finish my cup of tea, finish watching the water, and then I think I'm going to have some tea when I can't see much out there. But hopefully in the meantime a bite materialises. You just never know. They come at any time in here, they really do. Nighttime, daytime, you name it, bites at any time. You just cannot set your watch by them. Well, that's the way I'm looking at it anyway. The whole time I'm sitting here I'm just thinking that rod could go. It really could. Even when you see nothing, like today, it's just well, I was actually sat kind of like half dozing when the first one went off today, and then on the one that I've just put back, I had a young chap in my swim, and it was quite good really, because he got the bite and he's like, that'll be a bite then. I had already jumped in the water and was running over. It's a right mission. Anyway, I'm waffling on again. I always waffle on too long. I shall give you a little bit of an update probably later on, but if not, certainly in the morning. Well, good morning. And I was awoken by this one, an absolute one-toner. And it was quite a quiet night, to be honest. I think at around 1:30 in the morning, I awoke and got a cup of tea and just sat there thinking to myself, why's nothing happened? But anyway, went back to sleep, and then just gone 4 o'clock. Panic stations. I do have to apologise because I've not managed to get any footage of playing the fish or anything like that. As you can imagine, with the setting that I've got here, it really is hard. Oh. But this one's the channel rod again that's gone, and it's another 40-pounder. £43, 8 ounces. Oh, I hope he's going to behave. Just trying to find my feet. I've sort of created myself a little silk pocket here so I can get just to the right height for the camera. Tell you, it's a right ordeal just getting everything set up right. And there he is, look, in that morning sunshine. Oh, this trip is absolutely mega. Long may it continue. I am having the time of my life. I really am. I love it here. I absolutely love it. It's like France at home. I'll tell you something else funny as well. Went to put my waders on and it was absolutely covered with earwigs all inside. It took me about 10 minutes to get all the earwigs out. Oh dear. Everything at this place is out to get you. But it's all worth it when you've got big fish like this. And there we go, look. The sun is just rising above the trees behind the camera. What more could you want? What a way to start the morning. Time to repeat the process again. Oh, as long as they keep responding, I shall keep repeating. For now, let's slip this fella back and then we shall have a catch up in a bit. Well, good afternoon, and as you can see, it is rather pleasant at the moment. It actually feels a lot better today because we've got a good wind blowing across the lake, and although it's baking hot, I'm sat in the shade. We've got a bit of a breeze coming in. It feels a lot better. We're just coming up to around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. Not a lot to report on since that fish this morning. I got that rod back out straight away, topped up with bait. I was quite hopeful of something else happening, especially with the temperatures that we've got coming in and how bright and sunny it is. I thought that shallow rod might do a bite, I really did. But still yet to, I think it's been, you know, a good 24 hours since I last had a bite on that rod. The last 3 bites have all been from the channel, so to speak of. Yeah, in the deeper water. But that said, I'm not seeing as many fish as I was seeing, so that might have a lot to do with it. But I'm sure things will change. Bits and bobs have changed around the lake. A few people have gone, a few people have moved, come in, should I say. So yeah, that might change things a little bit. There was another fish out in Party Point as well, that I believe they had 2 fish. Because whilst I was doing the pictures this morning, I could see him also doing the pictures. So that's good news. It'd be nice to see a few more people catch. I mean, it's hard to say how it's actually fishing. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's fishing really well. I'm in our bloody element, do you know what I mean? But when you look around the lake and see people struggling, you just think, is it fishing hard? I don't really know. It might be a difference in what we're doing, or I really don't know. Can't put my finger on it, but one thing's for sure, you know, them little small baits are working for me, and I shall carry on using them. I've not long actually just sorted the 3rd rod out. I've basically put it down the channel, well, between the 2 islands really, on the right hand side of the swim. There is a gully that runs through here as well, and it runs, they're like their old roadways that run through. There's a lake map of the topography of the lake whilst it was getting dug out, and you can see all like the roadways and that, and it comes through here and it goes through there. But basically where the 2 islands are divided, it's quite shallow between them 2, as one goes across and the other goes across, and then the channel comes between the middle. Now this inside island, I've sort of come off the corner of that as it starts to drop down. It's a gradual drop down there, so I'm sort of halfway down the slope in about 4 to 5 foot of water. Haven't put the micro float on, but I just didn't want to sit it in that deep gully there, because it's such a sheer drop to get into that gully from this side. It is such a sheer drop, and I'm worried about getting cut off. I mean, what you can see on the top of these islands is what mimics what's on the bottom out there. So you can imagine it grating your line. If not only that, by the time I get to the rod, you know, I've just got alarm bells ringing. The only thing that's concerning me where I have put that rod is the bloody coots. They seem to be quite rife over there. Now I haven't put a lot of bait in. I've probably put about 10 spoms over there, and already they're diving down on me. They've not picked me up yet, but they are diving down on me. But I just think with the temperatures that we've got, there might be a few fish just cruising under the surface, and if they're coming through that area of the lake, although I'm not seeing them, if they're coming through there, they're going to be quite high up in the water, so they might decide to come over the bars rather than go through the gully. We'll see, but it's not going to hinder anything having that rod there. That's the reason why I've chose to put it out. I just didn't want to put it back out there again, because every single time you get a bite, it always runs into that. Well, it did run into it, that's why I took it out. So yeah, I'm still feeling rather confident. I've not long topped up that shallow spot. When I put that other rod out, I then topped that other rod up. I just feel like something should have happened. I did recast it this morning as well, just to make sure everything was all sitting nice. It come back perfect, it was bang on it, come back perfect, nothing wrong. Just put a fresh up bait on, straight back out there. A lot of time is spent waiting for the fish to turn up, but we're approaching that time where I expect to see something happen. Sort of 3 o'clock onwards seems to be the best time from what I've noticed. From sort of 3 o'clock up until it gets dark, usually get a bite. And then, you know, I've had a couple of night bites, and then first light. But yeah, feels good, and I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm not baking me bloody head off. Yes, I shall keep you updated, but for now I'm going to have a spot of lunch and we'll have a catch up in a bit, hopefully with another big carp. Come on, baby. Wallowing about and even drop the lead. Proper big fish take that was. Come on, baby. Look like that lead dangling about. Come on. Let's have you. Come on. You're mine. Get in. Let's have a look at the prize. Not a bad fish. Looks like a high 30 to me. We'll see in a moment. Well, good evening, and it is late evening as well. It's getting up to last knockings, but I was not long going to turn the camera on and report that I am just starting to see a bit of life in the lake, because it's been rather quiet today. Sat there all day with the GoPro on, ready and waiting to pounce, determined to get one of the runs on camera, but luckily this one there did that for me. But I was about to say, in the past sort of 30 minutes or so, I've seen a few fish, especially out to my left. So they've definitely been passing, coming past me, should I say. And it's the new rod that's just gone, the one I put out earlier, so I'm well chuffed. He is very, very angry, and he's just gone £38.12. Oh, let's see if he's going to behave himself. I've been holding off putting more bait in all day, because the other two spots I need to rebait them, because the coots have absolutely annihilated. This fish has definitely got attitude. It can go back in a minute. Here we go then, let's see what it's going to do. Oh, and there we go. Thank you very much. That will do. Very nice. Very good, very nice. Spinning round. Hoping for a bit of nighttime action tonight. We've got a full moon due in. And you just never know. It certainly seems to be going the right way this evening. I've got quite a bit to do now though. Get this rod back out, top up all the spots, just replenish what the bloody coots have had, and then this one, go a bit heavier on this one now. But yes, he will do very nice. I am chuffed to bits. This session just keeps on getting better and better. All we need now is one of them hippo chunks to come along, and it'll be trip made. Well, good morning, and we're actually approaching 9:30 as we speak, and I have been awake since first light, quite expectant of something happening really, especially when it was a liner that woke me up. But a very different night it was last night. I did get a couple of liners through the night, but after catching that fish yesterday evening and seeing them fish down to the left, I thought we was on for, at least another chance through the night or this morning, but it just hasn't materialised at all. And I've been sat watching the water all morning and I've not seen a deal. There's the odd straggler that's getting right down in that back bay, but they seem very reluctant to come out of there. Well, literally two or three fish I've seen down there. One of them did actually nut out and showed itself. It looked a really good fish. But things are changing, as I mentioned. Mike's just been round. He said there's another 4 people coming on today. 1 person's left. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to take the opportunity to sort of rest my swim for a bit today. And then not only that, it gives me a chance to replenish a few bits and bobs, go to the shop, have a shower, that sort of thing. But I just think while they're making all the disturbance, leading around, baiting up, etc, etc, I think it might help if I've not got any lines out. It might just push a few fish into the bay and keep a few here, or at least that's the theory anyway. So yeah, I'm not going to be do anything too drastic for now though. I'm just leaving the rods as they are for now. Give it till about 12 o'clock, because certainly when I look back to the previous days and previous sessions, I've not really had a bite sort of between 12 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think that'll be a good time to reel the rods in. And then when I get back, just a little bit of bait over the spots and re-put them rods out there. And hopefully this afternoon will be the one. I mean, certainly it does seem like the afternoon time's better for me anyway in this area of the lake. It certainly does. Every afternoon it's offered some sort of opportunity. But even yesterday, it was looking like I wasn't going to get a bite. It left it till late, and it was putting that 3rd rod out that got me the bite. So yeah, all is not lost. Just fingers crossed for one of them real big uns. I'm not bothered about the amount of fish or anything like that, but one of them real big uns would be nice. But, oh yes, as well, before I forget, there has been a couple of other fish out. The Beaches had a 48 pounder this morning, and the Lookout had a 49 pounder this morning. So that's a really good thing, that, promising. And not only that, it sort of alliterates what I'm seeing as well, especially when you put the drone in the air and you're not seeing hardly anything. You just might see the odd fish moving about here and there. Just seem to be in little groups, so they're probably well spread at the moment. Yeah, that's definitely the way it's coming across. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and we shall have a catch up in a bit once I've got myself sorted. Well, good afternoon, and the rods are back out there and we are all sorted. I feel a little bit rejuvenated after having a shower and that, although it was pretty pointless because I've had a shower in spod mix as well. The wind's picked up, it's become overcast at the moment. It looks really good conditions, to be quite honest. Whether it's good conditions for where I am, only time will tell. I do feel like I've had the best out of this swim. I definitely need to re-evaluate things, especially that long rod. When I reeled in to go to the shop, that long rod, the rig was completely done in. So that Savage liner that I had this morning, it was obviously one of the coots picking me up. And as we speak at the moment, every single spot the coots are diving on me because I've not long rebaited. Took me about an hour or so to get the bait out there. With the wind picking up and that, I just took my time really, made each one count. A couple went adrift on the long one, but other than that, all went alright. But I got back from the shop around about 2 o'clock ish, had a shower and that, and really didn't start getting the rods out till gone 3 o'clock. Yeah, so it's had a bit of a rest, the swim has. And with the changes that's happened, the swims that are now taken, the pump holes now taken, beaches is now taken again, change of angler in that swim. He's fishing different as well, he's fishing a lot longer out. That could affect the fish coming in and out of here, because he's fishing next to that mushroom island. And really I'm fishing behind that mushroom island on one of the rods. But time will tell, we never know. Harry's is now taken, Lookout's taken, Reed's is taken, and then obviously where I'm sitting. But at the moment you've got empty, we've got wasted time, party point, dugout. I could possibly move into one of them tomorrow, but the only thing that's putting me off is Chris was in the dugout. Chris unfortunately has had to go home today. He's just in absolute agony with his back. But yeah, he's a very, very capable angler, and the fact that he's been in there and hasn't had anything, it don't fill me with confidence about moving. Now, if I was seeing something to warrant a move in that area, I certainly would. And then I'll look at the two guys that was in Party Point. They was just fishing zigs, wasn't fishing bait at all. The only good thing that I've got to go off is the guy that's in Lookout. Obviously had that 49 pounder this morning, and he's fishing bait, and he's fishing fairly close in. It's deep water, that, so there is some sort of hope. But what I am hoping for now, we've got a good wind on and it's become overcast, that they're going to put a display on somewhere and give the game away, because at the minute they're very hard to spot. Usually, you can see a few fish nutting out or with the backs out the water. That's what I have been seeing more than anything. Fish just cruising about just under the surface. They haven't really been showing themselves much. I did see a couple of fish this morning, and the fish that I have seen have been in beaches water, and I've seen a couple of fish show short in front of the Lookout. It's very hard for me to keep an eye on what's going out to the right of me in Dugout and Party Point, that sort of area. But Chris has been my eyes and ears up until this point over there. So yeah, I do definitely feel like there's another chance in this swim. 100% definitely another chance, but I just don't feel like I've got the numbers of fish like I had. But that said, it doesn't stop one of them big uns drifting in, and that's all you need is one bite off one of them big uns. With what I've already had, I'd be quite happy with just one more big un. But that long rod, I definitely need to re-evaluate that. What's going through my mind at the minute, I'm either thinking the spot's blown and they're just bypassing it because I've had a few fish off of it, and that's why it's a free-for-all for the coots over there, or they just moved off the shallower water and I could possibly drop that one, come closer in and drop that one into the channel as well, because they are still getting in right in the back. Not as many fish, but they're coming in from somewhere. When I put the drone up earlier, there was 3 or 4 fish in there, and I'd not seen them come past, not drifting about, didn't pick up any liners to say that the fish had drifted through. So yeah, they're definitely coming in from somewhere. So yes, that's my synopsis of what's happened. Hopefully something happens this afternoon and it gives me that bit more confidence, because when you're not seeing anything and the coots are obliterating you, and my last bite was last night, you know, it don't fill me with confidence. I was very hopeful of a bite this morning, and I think that coot sort of ruined my chances a little bit. I mean, there was no bait on it. The rig was the D section had pulled right up to the eye, so it'd obviously, you know, give it a good tug and pulled the bait off, which is why it was useless. So all that time I was sat this morning with no bait on that one. Just goes to show that sometimes you've got to redo the rods, but trouble is, on here you'd be redoing the rods every bloody 5 minutes if that was the case. Really would. I mean, I could switch it over to a hinge rig or whatever, but it's not that delicate presentation for, you know, a 10mm pop-up. I could go up to a 12mm pop-up, fish a size 6 hook on a hinge rig. That would eliminate that problem. Then there's no chance of that D slipping round with a multi-rig or whatever. I mean, I could even fish a little Ronnie or something like that, but I'm not a big fan of Ronnies, to be honest. Multi and hinge rig are my favourite pop-up rigs. Well, I'm going to kick back, watch the water. If anything, it's coming up to a good time now, and I'm thinking about getting some grub on because I'm absolutely starving. Yeah, I don't know what to have tonight. Last night I had steak and fried potatoes, and it was absolutely lovely. Really enjoyed that. But this morning I haven't really ate a lot today. I went in the in my bag this morning. I fancied sausage and egg patty, and I just didn't like the smell of that sausage. I thought, no, that's not the one. I'm not having that. So I had a fried egg sandwich instead. Yeah, I've got a few more bits and bobs supplies though. I've got a choice of either a stir fry tonight, or I could have a special fried rice or something like that. Yeah, but I am rather hungry, so it's going to be something nice. When I went out, I stocked up on a few more bits and bobs, plenty more veg, in particular veg for stir fries, and I got peppers, mushrooms, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I like that sort of food. It's quick and easy to cook on the bank as well. Yeah, it's been hard work keeping the meat fresh though. Even though I have got cooler bags and you know, ice packs in them, it's still hard work keeping them. So yeah. Anyway, I'm waffling on again, aren't I? Always waffle on. Very conscious about this video that I'm waffling on too much and I ain't got enough B-roll and that. But the nature of this swim, it's hard to do anything. It really is. It really is. But we'll get there. It's going to be a good video nonetheless, and I'm enjoying myself regardless of what my thoughts are doing at the moment. Yeah, we shall have an update later on. Well, good morning. And to be quite honest, I've been putting this update off. I really have been. I've been up since first light and I've been pacing about trying to make my mind up what to do. I really have. On the fishing side of things, it's been rather frustrating. With me not having a bite yesterday and then nothing materialising this morning, I really have got itchy feet now, because I just feel like my time's running out quick and then fish might not come back. Or I might not even have a chance of a straggler, so to speak of. Yeah, I was really hopeful yesterday after getting them rods back out. But to be quite honest, after I did that update last night, I actually went to bed fairly early because I was fairly cheesed off with what was going on around the pond. Now, you know, it's not for me to say anything, you know, everybody fishes to their own. But yeah, it kind of ruined any sort of chances of bite time yesterday evening. It really did. That's all I will say. Yeah, so I was already thinking about moving then. I mean, I was contemplating it anyway because I felt like I've had the best out of the swim. So I was having a look in wasted time, because I can still have a look there. It's only a couple of yards up the bank here. And I did see some fizzing in there last night. Just one patch of fizzing though. And then again this morning I've seen one patch of fizzing in there, which don't really warrant a move. Don't really fill me with confidence. Now, without going and looking, the first swim that strikes appealing to me, so to speak of, is Party Single. It fishes the mouth of a bay called East Bay. I just think that the fish could be held up down there. The wind's been blowing in that direction all morning, and around the lake it's been really quiet. There's only been a tench out this morning. The lad over in Beaches had a tench this morning. Nobody else has had a fish. It's really frustrating, it is. I mean, it might just be that the fish are having a bit of a lull in activity. It might not be, you know, what anybody's doing or anything like that, because I feel like I'm fishing the right methods. I just feel like the fish are not in front of me. Hey up. Oh, that's that coot again. You see, every time that alarm goes now, it's a bloody coot. It does your head in. It really does. And yet I was getting liners, I was seeing fish, and then you'd get the bite, and now I'm just not seeing hardly anything at all. I've seen 2 shows this morning, and that was out in front of Beaches and Lookout. Good fish as well, mind. One of them was a right lump. Sounded like somebody chucked a pig in. But yeah, I just feel like I need to move, I need to do something. And it's knocking on a bit now. And really, I've only got one full day left tomorrow. I've got today and tomorrow, and then you have to pack up early on the Sunday when we leave. We have to be off by 10 o'clock in the morning. So it kind of writes that day off, really. So I think if I'm going to move, I need to do it sort of now, really. I think I'm going to give it till dinner time, reel the rods in, go for a little look, and see if anything takes my fancy. There's a few swims, but I really don't fancy the dugout. I don't know why, it's just put me off with Chris being in there, not having a fish. Party Point, I don't fancy Party Point because it's mega distance work really for where you need to be fishing, and I've stripped that much line off my reels this session. I think I'd really be up against it. And not only that, the wind's pushing in that direction as well. You'd be putting it out in a crosswind. That's the only reason why I don't fancy that. But in any case, I'm gonna reel the rods in, go for a little look around, and then we shall have a bit of a catch up later on after I've made a decision. No doubt you might see me in a different swim. Well, as you can see, we have moved and I am feeling really good about the move. I really am. It looks absolutely prime down here. I've got myself situated in Party Point single. Now, to be honest, there wasn't too many options available to me, and I haven't seen anything which warranted me moving here other than the fact that it's a new wind blowing down here. It looks absolutely prime for it. And not only that, with what I found out there, I'm feeling really confident. If the fish are here, we're definitely going to have them. That's how I feel. I found some absolutely pucker spots. Now, I wasn't arriving to this sort of zone without any knowledge. You know, I've got a good understanding of the topography of this lake now, having been here a few times. And although I haven't fished this swim before, I do feel like I'm very familiar with it. If I cast my mind back to when I was in the dugout last and I had marshals, Clive was next door in Party Point and he was fishing the inside bar and he took a couple of fish off of that, and I've got access to that from this spot here. And that's my left hand rod. That's the one I feel most confident on, to be honest, just because I've got some previous knowledge of that. However, there's a big weed bed out right in the central zone there. It comes right up to the surface. Now, I really wanted to find something in and around that, and to be honest, it's pretty stitched up in that middle zone, but I found a lovely silt spot. It's only 4 wraps out, to be quite honest. It's very simple fishing. To get to the gravel bar from here, it's 6 1/4 wraps, and then I've got one that's just short of 5 wraps out towards that weed bed, silt spot that, and then I've got one out to the far margin over there, that's fishing at 9 3/4 that. So I've pretty much got all bases covered. I've got the inside line, I've got the middle zone, and I've got the far zone. So I'd like to think if anything does come in and go out, that we've got good access to it. Now, on the tactics front, I haven't had to change anything with the spots that I've found. The rigs that I'm using are fine. Still using them 10mm hook baits. There's still the same spod mix and that. I don't feel the need to change that. I just feel like it's either a bit of a lull in what the carp are doing, because they're not showing much and things like that, or they've just moved off me over there. I mean, I can't really say, you know, what that guy's doing over there or what that guy's doing over there. It could be down to angling capability, I don't know. But that said, I feel really confident. I'm glad we've moved. I've had to switch cameras, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm doing this freehand. My other camera, the memory card's getting a bit too full, so I want to save that in case I get any fish or anything like that. It's the better quality camera. However, this one's got a built-in gimbal, so it does mean I can do a bit of freehand, which is quite nice, to be honest. It's an element which I don't do much of. So yeah, that is my synopsis. I have, however, I've got to mention this, I have seen a fish show out in this centre bit whilst I was setting up. And now, it didn't take me long at all, really. Literally within an hour the rods was out there and we was fishing. And I've seen a fish show in the central zone, and whilst I was sat making a cup of tea, I heard one bosh out right down in the bay, and I heard the birds, you know, go a bit crazy. So I know it was a definite fish show, which surprises me, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of algae bloom that's blown right down into that bay. It seems to have pushed down on this wind and it's gone right down in there. But, you know, it was definitely a fish that crashed out there. We've seen one show. It's looking promising. I hope that a few fish turn up, because if they turn up, we're going to have a bite. So yes, I'm going to leave it there. Well, I don't bloody believe it, I really don't. It's just gone 6 o'clock, left hand rod's gone, and we've got an absolute cheese in the net. An absolute chunk. I just can't believe it. Oh, I am made up, absolutely made up. Oh, yes, come on! Hopefully there's some more in it. I shall see you in a minute. I'm just going to get the mat and everything sorted. Come on! Oh. Well, what an absolute beast of a fish. And I tell you something, it gave a really good account of itself. Best fight I've had on this trip so far. Not because it's the biggest, but I think more to do with the fact that it's deep water out, quite close in. Oh. And I am so bloody happy, I tell you. So bloody happy. Well, I hope it's going to behave itself. God, they always go mental on the mat. Don't know what it is with these fish in Holme Fen, but they all go mental in the mat. I've never had one that doesn't go absolutely berserk. And there he is, look. 50 pound and 10 ounces. Oh, that's heavy. He's really wide. And there we go. Absolutely mental, this fish. I'm stuck in the silt as well. But what a creature. So look at the girth on him. What a creature. Back's killing me. Happy angler. Oh, slip this one back. Please God, let there be more. Oh. I don't quite believe it, but the same rod has busted off again, and he is mental, absolutely mental, absolute blistering take. But I tell you what, he didn't scrap as hard as the last one, but it's another lovely fish. 39 pound and 4 ounces just gone. Oh, this session is amazing. I put out about 10 or 12 spawns after catching that fish. Didn't really expect it to go off so quick, but since I've been sitting there, I have seen 3 or 4 fish show, so there is quite a few fish down here. Hopefully it's going to continue. We're starting to lose the light now, the sun's setting. Don't actually know what time it is. It must be getting on for around about 8 o'clock, I'd imagine. I need to get that rod back out there though, some more bait, which I'm running out of very fast now. It's hard with this wind blowing the mat around and you're sinking in the silt. Fish going crazy. Oh, there he is, look. Another Holme Fen cracker. God, the mat's blowing away too quick. God, I'm sinking and everything. There we go. Oh, happy days. I'll show you the other side quickly and we'll waste no time. Just want to get sorted, get that rod back out there, get some bait before it gets dark. I ain't even ate myself yet. God, am I glad we moved. There's the other side. What a fish. Thank you, Holme Fen. Well, the mat's going. One last look. Put this puppy back. Yes. Oh. Well, good evening, and I'm gonna have to be quick because this camera's rubbish on low light conditions. So yes, a little synopsis before I turn in for the night. I just can't bloody believe it. That is what I am saying. It has been nothing short of brilliant. I am so glad I moved. But I don't think it's all going to be all singing and dancing. That weed bed that I seen out there earlier, it turns out that it's a floating weed bed and it is drifting about all over the place. I would dread for that to drift over that left hand spot. But in the last sort of like half an hour or so, the fish have been showing out in that zone over there. Just there on that zone, that's where they've been showing. So it's like beyond where I'm fishing, but that bar, they must follow that bar like a route. I said that, I know it's a bit of a banker spot. I knew it'd produce if the fish was down here, and now it's, you know, now it's clearly visible that the fish are down here. I do think there could be another fish on the cards. I can't believe how quick we've got into them though. That's what's surprised me more than anything. I mean, going back to that session where I was on about where Clive was fishing that spot, it was like his banker rod, but it was, you could set your watch by a bite time on that rod. It was always in the morning between 8 and 10:30, and it was the same sort of time of year. It was in July, so you know, I was kind of expecting that to happen. But since then as well, across from me, over on that far reed line, I have seen a couple of fish show over there as well. But to be honest, they look really ziggy over there. They really do. They look like they're coming up on some sort of hatch. So if that rod doesn't produce tonight, can't believe I'm saying this, but I might switch that one to a zig, and that way, you know, it'll make my bait last a bit longer as well for that hot rod. But in any case, I'm in my element. I'm going to turn the camera off now, and hopefully we should be having another catch up very soon. Well, good morning, and that is the view that I am faced with at the moment. It looks absolutely prime, let me tell you. I've had a bit of a sleepless night, to be quite honest. The amount of liners I've had is just unbelievable. I can't believe I haven't had a bite yet. I feel like it's going to go off any minute. There's quite a few fish down here at the moment showing, and not long now have I seen signs of feeding, little patches of fizzing here and there. My only concern is the fish that I'm seeing show are slightly smaller fish. They're not the big fish, but the amount of liners I'm getting is just unbelievable. It is only a matter of time. I do think if I'd have had a zig on through the night though, I think I might have had one through the night. But still, to get that many liners and not get a bite through the night, it does make you a little bit concerned that they've sussed you out. But they've been showing really close in. The only rod that I haven't had liners on is the close in rod. Now the long rod, the one that's fishing out at 9 3/4, that's the rod that I've had the most liners on. And then the rod that I'm catching on, the left hand rod, I've had a few liners on that. But they've been showing, the wind's still pushing this way when it gets up. Oh, it's just electric. I am in my element. The mist is still rolling off the lake. It's just gone first light. What a time to be carp fishing. It feels great to be alive right now, let me tell you. And to think what swims in this lake. Oh, my legs are just knocking every time that rod goes. The anticipation of the bite really is building now, let me tell you. I've barely slept, I've barely eaten, I don't care. I've just sat back on that chair waiting for a bite now. I think it's going to happen any minute soon, I really do. Stay tuned. Well, that certainly took a lot longer than I anticipated, that is for sure. With the amount of fish that I was getting liners from this morning, I don't know what was happening. In the end, I got impatient and I redid the rod. Put about another 4 spons of bait over the top. I didn't want to introduce a lot, and by that point it was looking like it had died off. But we'd just gone 8 o'clock and sure enough, left down rod. Now, he's not a monster, this one, but I do believe this is one of the fish that's grown on in the lake, one of the homegrown, and a common as well. And there he is, look. I cannot see that screen at all whatsoever. This sunlight is just ridiculous at the moment. I think it's going to be proper Scorchio today, and I've not long whipped up a zig. There's the other side. I don't know how well you can see it because I cannot see nothing, I really cannot, but you get the gist of it. He's just gone 24 pound exactly, so not too shabby for a homegrown, eh? God, he's nuts. They're all nuts in here. Anyway, it's getting back, it's too hot. We're just gone 11 o'clock now, and quite a bit has changed since I last spoke to you. Not long after slipping that common back, I got the rod back out there, rebaited, and it was followed by a tench. And while we're on the topic of tench, whilst I've been sat here in the front of the swim, the amount of tench I've seen coming up and down this margin is unbelievable. Going into double figures the amount of tench that I've seen now. So that's probably why I had a bite off of them. But yeah, I just dealt with him in the net and slipped him straight back. Got the rod back out there, rebaited again, just keep repeating that process on that rod. I am not going to change that. It's a really good spot, that. And if anything, I was quite surprised to get a bite at this time, even though it's off a tench, because it's actually fishing in deep water, that. It's 16 foot of water over there where I'm fishing. And out in front of me I've had the marker float out, just a couple of casts. I just wanted to get a quick gauge of the actual depth out there. And in the central zone I've got between 10 and 11 foot. There is a couple of ups and downs, but it's an average of 10 and 11 foot out in front of me. Now that rod that was fishing out to the far margin last night, the amount of liners I received on that was ridiculous. It really was. So the amount of fish that was passing between me and there, just unreal. And that, it's worth mentioning, that close in rod, I didn't get any liners on that close in rod, and that's just short of 5 wraps. So it sort of gave me an idea where to aim for. And anyway, I've got the depth for that. I've just not long whipped a zig up for that. I mentioned that I was going to tie a zig up, and that one's going to stay on that for the duration. I'm going to play about with the depth a little bit, but at the moment I'm not seeing any fish high up in the water, so to speak, of right up on the surface. And even like when I was getting liners, I still couldn't see them. So I've sort of gone 4 foot down at the moment. I've put a 7 foot out there. Now with the aquatic life that's in this lake, it's just in abundance. There's loads of stuff, snails. I mean, I can't even bloody name them all, there's that much in here. But the last place I fished like that was very similar to this in the Canadian weed and the natural life, so to speak, of was actually Eric's Willows, and that's going back quite a few years ago. And I did really well on zig bugs in there, not black foam or anything like that. And I actually had them specially made. There was a guy on eBay which I contacted. He sells fly fishing flies and stuff like that, and I sent him a pack of hooks and asked him to tie me something up. I sent him one of the Nash louses as a sort of imitation, and these are what he sent me back. So yeah, I tried them on Eric's Willows, and they worked to great effect. It's a lot bigger hook, size 6 hook. Yeah, so when you hook them, you're not going to lose them. That was the only thing with them Nashy ones. Every time I hooked them, 9 times out of 10 I lost the bugger. It really did my head in. But you'd get the bites on them louses. They was very good. But when I switched over to them, landed a lot more fish. So that's what I've put out there. It just beats, you know, it's something different, you know. Not everybody puts you know, their own take of something out there, and I don't believe that many people have got them. There is stuff on the market like them. I've got some in my bag, some Scorpio ones, ants and whatever else I can't remember, but I haven't really used them, to be quite honest. I'm not a fan of zigs, but I just think I'd be daft to ignore what happened last night. I have got a couple of alarm bells ringing. At the moment the wind has switched directions, and all that algae bloom that was down in that bay is on its way back out. I just hope that by this afternoon it's cleared, but at the moment there's not a strong wind, but you can see it slowly going. It looks horrible with these Polaroids on, it really does. But my only saving grace is in the margin here, it's actually quite clear because it seems to be pushing it out onto that far bank. So fingers crossed. I'd really like another bite before we go, and I still think there's a good chance of another bite, especially on that left hand rod. That'll push me into double figures for the session. It'd be nice to finish on 10 fish, it really would. But in any case, you know, it's been a really good session regardless of what happens. I'm a little bit, you know, deflated that it's the last day. Hate going home when you've had a good session. Well, any session really, I just prefer to be here. But I think we're all like that. We spend half our life wishing it away, wishing for the next session. Yeah, I'd be dead by now if that actually happened. But anyway, that's my synopsis. I think while the sun's out and the wind's not too bad, I'm going to put the drone in the air and get some good footage, and I'll see if I can get some footage of this algae bloom. It looks horrendous, it really does. Oh, and another thing which I've seen which really opened my eyes is there was a low 30 mirror come skirting in the margin here, bumped into my line, got a little liner, looked at it, and I tell you what, it didn't half spook it. It turned straight round and shot down. And I thought to myself, oh my god, the amount of liners I've had, and if they all do that, yeah, it's only a matter of time before the bites dry up. That's what I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's my synopsis. But whilst the fishing's gone a bit quiet, I'm going to kick back and relax. And I need to have some breakfast. I still haven't eaten. The fishing's that good that even last night, I had a wrap last night. Didn't go extravagant or anything like that. Just had a wrap before I went to bed. I couldn't be arsed. And I think that was like midnight when I actually went to bed, and then I was up at 3 o'clock. Well, I was up God knows how many times with liners, but I didn't get up, so to speak of. I just sort of listened and like, yeah, another liner. But you know, I don't feel like I've slept very well at all. I really don't. But I think the adrenaline is what's keeping me going at the moment. So yeah, I'm waffling on again. I'll switch the camera on later, I think. Hopefully we'll catch another fish by then, but if not, we'll have a bit of an update later. I'll let you know what's going on. Hopefully this algae bloom bogs off. Well, good evening, and it is our last evening, and let me tell you, it's just gone 7 o'clock and it is still baking hot. Really tough conditions this evening. It couldn't be any more different to yesterday. I mean, it's ridiculous to think what was happening here yesterday. That wind hacking in and it looked really good, and then the rods was ripping off. It was just great. But this evening I think we're really up against it. It's definitely shortened that window of opportunity, that's for sure. And my biggest fear has come true, that algae bloom is all over the place at the moment. it sort of pushed it out, and then the winds changed direction, pushed it back, and now the wind's dropped off. It's just everywhere. Hopefully that's not going to affect things too much. I have still seen the odd fish moving around, but in the heat of today, you know, I put the drone up and that, and I got some amazing footage of fish just sitting in the kelp in front of wasted time and dugout, and where I was fishing around the back of them islands, got some really good footage of some big fish as well. That was great to look at, and no doubt that'll look good for you guys. But as for the fishing, I've not long got the rod sorted for the evening. Them two I've kept on the bait. Obviously my banker spot, I can't pull off of that. I'm just so confident in that. Hopefully we'll get a bite through the night, if not this evening. But first light, you know, that is our best chance. That's when I had a lot of traffic moving through. It seemed to be from about 3 o'clock in the morning through till about 8 o'clock in the morning. That was the best window. I was a bit, you know, sort of dazed as to why I only picked up the one fish in the morning, but I think there's a lot of fish that just use this as a motorway, and in particular seeing them tench going up and down, you know, a lot of them liners might not have been carp. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the point I'm trying to get to. So yeah, we're all set. I've had to resort to putting some worms into the mix. When Chris left, he gave me a couple of bags of worms. He says, Paul, use them if you need them, otherwise they're just going in the bin. So I've had them there, sort of reluctant to put them in, but I ain't got enough bait, so I am putting it in. Putting some of the dirt in there as well, and adding some of the ASM concentrate to it, so it really pumps that attraction into the zone. Hopefully the tench don't move in on that. That is one worry. But in any case, it's our last evening. It feels good to be here. Wish I wasn't going home tomorrow, and I still think there's another opportunity to be had despite the tough conditions we are faced with. I shall keep you posted, and hopefully it's not too long before I turn that camera on again. Well, good morning, and what a glorious morning it is too. It is set to be an absolute scorcher once again. In some matter of speaking, I'm glad I'm packing down, because that yesterday, boy was that minging. It really was minging. And then last night, oh, very restless night. The mosquitoes was just absolutely horrendous. And not only that, it was too bloody warm. But I've started the dreaded pack down. It's just gone 8 o'clock now. Yes, everything is all over the place at the moment. We're in that stage where we start, you know, slowly packing down. But it doesn't look good for a bite this morning, I'll be totally honest. Going through the night though, I did have a couple of liners through the night, but I just think that's tench passing up and down this margin, because again this morning I've seen tench passing up and down. I did, however, see one big fish lump out right at the back of that weed bed over there, which did lift the spirits, and I thought there might be a chance. But the rods are still in. I'm going to finish packing everything down. But, you know, I've been kind of putting this update off. It's like, you know, I barely slept. I've been a bit grumpy this morning because of the mosquitoes. Yeah. I'm just kind of hoping that something happens, something positive to finish on. But we've had 9 carp. That is positive, if you ask me. 9 carp, a 50. I think I had 3 40s, 30s and 120. What a session. What a session. That is what I am saying. I do think if we hadn't moved though, I don't think luck would have been on our side. However, when I put the drone up yesterday, I did see a few fish in that back bit over there. But to be honest, majority of the fish was out in front of the dugout. I could have moved over there yesterday, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick it out in here and see how it goes basically. So yeah, I mean, I've got to make a pit stop on the way home as well. The old hide's going and some luggage and that as well. Slowly switching everything over to the Avid gear. Rods and reels are going this week as well. Yeah, so look forward to seeing a few different products. But I suppose this trip, you know, one product that's really stood out as being good is that folder cradle. Absolute right piece of kit that, you know, and I got the safeguard net and the safeguard flotation sling. Oh, and it's just bang on, absolutely bang on. But one thing in particular which has really surprised me is the lead clip. You know, I am very funny with bits of terminal that I use, and lead clips is one of my things really, which, you know, I just don't use other brands. I've used the same lead clip since fishing Monk's Pit. Monk's Pit is a very weedy water, and it was paramount that you was dropping your leads, and a lot of the lead clips on the market have got like slick backs on them and things like that, and you whack it out there, hit the clip and the lead ejects, you know. There's that, and then there's some that just don't eject. So I've been using the one from Deception Angling for God knows how many years. Too many years to remember. Even though I've been affiliated with other companies, I still chose not to use theirs and carried on using the Deception ones. But let me tell you, these Avid ones, I absolutely love them. The hybrid one, it's a bit like the Corda hybrid one in some sense, the way it's like built in. But I've been using the QC clips and they are just brilliant. They drop the lead when you want them to, and not only that, with the notches that's on there, you can set it just right for the distance that you're fishing out so the lead doesn't eject. And if you're zig fishing, yeah, absolutely blown away by them. Them Deception ones are now discontinued. So yeah, I'm well pleased about that. That is one thing that has really surprised me out of all the products. I mean, I've got loads of new stuff here. I've got all the new compound luggage, rod bags, you name it. I've got everything, but the rest of it is still in transit. I need to start getting rid of the rest of it. All the Nash stuff is going. But anyway, I'm getting way off a track. I don't think one of them rods is going to go, and I want to get everything sorted because there's usually a traffic of people start walking around at 9 o'clock. So that's what time they're allowed through the gate. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and as always, I'm going to say, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not, please subscribe. Any support is really appreciated, even if you just drop a comment or something, you know, share it, whatever. You know, I don't make anything out of YouTube, I do it purely for the love and the passion. So yes, on that note, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you on the next one.